Hello and welcome to 2017-2018's first installment of the SHU Sports Report. I'm Gino Ganello.
And I'm Chris Caiozzo. Gino, it feels like the summer blew by this year after wrapping up the show in May.
That it did, Chris. It certainly felt quick to me, but I'm ready to kick off the 2017-2018 season and bring the folks at home all the updates for our 32 teams here at Sacred Heart. So let's start the show off with some Sacred Heart football as they open their 2017 season at home versus Stetson on Saturday the 2nd. The last time these two teams met, the Pios beat them 18-14 in Florida in last year's season opener. The game had a somber start as the players and crowd honored Nick Blakely, a Stetson football player who passed away at practice earlier that week. After a moment of silence for the young man, the action was underway. Pioneers jumped off to a hot start, scoring 21 points in the first quarter, all in the back of new starting quarterback Kevin Duke. Stetson field goal cut the Pioneer lead to 18 points, but that would be the last Stetson saw their score increase for the rest of the game. Pioneers added on 3 more touchdowns by the end of the third quarter and finished off the game winning 42-3. Kevin Duke marked his first start as full-time quarterback with 4 total touchdowns, 3 rushing and 1 passing. The Pioneers then traveled to Pennsylvania to take on Lafayette for their first road game this past weekend. The start to this one was quite the opposite, though, as Lafayette jumped out to a 10-point lead just 6 minutes into the game. That lead would last until midway through the second quarter when SHU put a field goal on the board before Kevin Duke tied the game up with a pass to wide receiver Andrew O'Neal right before the half. Coming out of the half, it was all Pioneers. Osi Mioparia and Jordan Meacham both picked up 2 touchdowns in the second half as SHU scored 31 unanswered points before Lafayette added to their score midway through the fourth quarter. Despite another Leopards touchdown with a minute and a half to go in the game, SHU was able to hold on to a 38-24 win for their second win in a row. The Pioneers racked up a total of 506 yards of offense this week, bringing them to near 1,000 yards of total offense already this season. Sacred Heart heads to Stony Brook this Saturday, September 16th, for a rematch with the Seawolves, looking to knock them off for the second straight year.
Gino, I have to say it's been a great start for Pioneer football, but the SHU rugby team has had an amazing start of their own. The newest varsity team for Sacred Heart opened up their 3rd season at home on September 1st. Junior Margaret Wood got the Pioneers going with a try at 16 minutes and 25 seconds in the opening period, leading Sacred Heart to score 32 unanswered points before Castleton got on the board in the second period. Sophomore Kaylee Hale was amazing on kicks with 7 throughout the game. She set a record picking up the highest point total in the program's history for a single game. They had 14 tries and 7 kicks for the game. The Pios took the win 84-10 in their home opener. The Pioneers continued their winning ways, beating Malloy on Saturday at Park Avenue Field. Freshman Isabel Cuddy was successful for SHU on 4 tries. Kaylee Hale accumulated 32 points on the day with 1 try. In addition, Ali Rinaldi added 3 tries and sophomore Tiffany Brycebane had 2. The Pios improved to 2-0 with the 97-24 victory over Malloy. Sacred Heart travels to Brookville, New York to face off against LIU Post this Sunday at 1 p.m.
Wow, Chris, quite the start from our newest team here at Sacred Heart. But for more on football, we have Mike Haase sitting with football's head coach Mark Nofri for our first Coach's Corner segment. Mike?
On this week's Coach's Corner, I'm here with head coach Mark Nofri. Coach, thanks for coming down.
Thanks for having me.
One of the things you like to say about your program is you like to start fast. I don't think you can start much faster than 2-0. A big win against Stetson in week 1, 42-3. Last week at Lafayette, however, a little bit of a struggle in the first quarter, fell behind 10-0. What flipped for your team in the second quarter?
Basically, our team didn't panic. They weren't pointing fingers, they weren't screaming at each other. They just kind of stayed the course, came to the sidelines, regrouped, got ourselves in, put ourselves in better situations, obviously. And once the offense got rolling and got a little confidence, it kind of took off from there. But I really like the fact that the kids didn't panic. They were down 10-0. It kind of showed what we were made of, and everybody just kind of did their job and knew there was a lot of game left and didn't shoot ourselves in the foot anymore the rest of the game.
You talk about the offense getting rolling. You can almost talk about that literally with the way you guys been able to run the ball in the first 2 games. Jordan Meacham and Osi Mioparia both almost rushed for over 100 yards against Lafayette last Saturday night. Jordan in particular, 98 yards, 176 all-purpose yards. What does he do for your offense that he can fit in so many different spaces?
Jordan's a great athlete. He works his butt off in the weight room. He's a great kid, and he's willing to do anything for the team. He can play slot. He can play running back. there's many different things you can do with him, and you want a kid like that that's multi-dimensional, kid that's very unselfish, and like I said, he puts himself behind the team and whatever the team needs, Jordan's going to do. And if I wanted to, I probably could throw him on defense as well. But great kid, great athlete, and just somebody that you want to be a part of your program.
Speaking of your defense, that was the one phase in the game against Stony Brook last year that really shined, especially in the second half of that game. It was a 10-10 game at the half, and then your offense ran off 28 unanswered points, and then Kevin Berry with that pick six in the fourth quarter that kind of sealed the deal. What do you expect to see from the Seawolves in this game coming up on Saturday?
Well, obviously they're a great football team. I mean, they play in probably the best FCS conference in the country, if you ask me. They're a big physical team. They've always been good. They've been good up front. And for us, we're going to have our hands full. We need to make sure we focus on doing what we do best and stopping Stony Brook. Obviously, we're going to have to shut down the run and be able to control the line of scrimmage. But again, you're dealing with a CAA school who's had a history of winning. They play very good opponents. Obviously, they opened the season with South Florida, played a tough Rhode Island team last week, and they got a tough road ahead of them when playing in the CAA. I'm sure they're going to be ready for us. Last year, like I said, we hung around and played a very good game, probably the best game of all 11 last year was that game that we had played, and we need to do the same thing this year to have a shot to beat them.
With the way you talked about controlling the line of scrimmage, with the way you've been able to run the ball and the way you've defended the run, is that going to be a key, especially if it becomes a close game and field position becomes a big deal? How important will it be?
We talk about all the time, if you're going to win football games, you got to be able to run the ball when you need to, and you got to be able to shut down the run and put them in long situations, long sticks. So I think that's huge for us in order to be successful and to continue to win. I think one of our strong points is our offensive line and our defensive line, and it starts with the guys up front. And if you're good on both sides of the ball, chances are you're probably going to win a lot of football games. So those are things we're trying to make sure we continue to build here and do a great job of. And like I said, those are the things that we hang our hat on when we can rush the ball like we have been to win football games.
All right, that's all the time we have for today. Coach, thanks for coming by. Good luck this weekend against Stony Brook.
Thanks for having me.
Now we'll send it over to Adam Chambers for this week's Update Corner.
Thanks, Mike. To start off this week's Update Corner, we will get right into Sacred Heart field hockey. The field hockey team won 1-0 over Lehigh University in the Pioneers' home opener. The win improves the Pioneers at 2-2 on the year. Bridget Larisha scored the only goal 1:45 into the game. SHU allowed 8 shots on the remainder of the game, with Pioneer goalkeepers making 4 saves as Emily DeGenero earned the win for the day. The field hockey team is back on the turf with an away game at Hofstra on Sunday, the 17th at noon. On the Sacred Heart cross country, as men's cross country team competed at the UMass Amherst Minutemen Invite on Saturday. Senior Trevor Guerrero was the first SHU finisher for the men, moving up steadily throughout the race for a 6th place individual finish. The women's cross-country team found similar success as Tara Connolly was among the top 10 individual finishers, crossing the line first for Sacred Heart and 8th overall in a time of 18:16 on the 5K course. Both Trevor Guerrero and Tara Connolly received the NEC's Cross-Country Athlete of the Week for their outstanding performances. Both teams head to New Britain, Connecticut on Saturday, the 23rd, for the 15th annual CCSU Ted Owen Invitational, starting at 11 a.m. The Sacred Heart men's soccer team picked up their first win of the season with a 2-1 comeback double overtime victory over St. Peter's University on Saturday afternoon at Park Avenue Field. Senior Emma Salage scored the game-tying goal with a little under 3 minutes left in regulation. In overtime, sophomore Oscar Carras scored the game-winning goal for the Pioneers. Men's soccer then took that momentum into their game on Tuesday evening. The Pios played home field advantage once again as they hosted St. Joseph's at Park Avenue Field. St. Joseph's got on the board early with a goal with a little under the 30-minute mark in the first half. The Pioneers rallied to tie the game off, and Alejandro Arribas' goal with just under 2 minutes left in regulation. Not even 5 minutes into their first overtime, Arribas then found Salage, who put an 8-yard shot in the back of the net to seal the game. This win improves the Pirates' record to 2-4 in the season. Men's soccer is back at Park Avenue Field on Saturday the 16th to face off Siena at 3 p.m. That's all we have for this week's Update Corner. I'm Adam Chambers. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Adam. With so many SHU sports kicking off their home openers, Chris, why don't you get us all caught up with women's volleyball?
Do you know the women's volleyball team's home opener was quite a game as they faced off against crosstown rival Fairfield University last Wednesday. Back at the William H. Pitt Center for the first time in the 2017-2018 season, the Pios hosted the Stags in a thrilling home opener. Sacred Heart opened up the play, taking the first set 25-22. Stags answered back the second set, tying the match one apiece with a 25-17 set victory. With the help of Kiki Robinson's game-high 37 assists and 19 digs, and Liesl Nellis' team leading 14 kills, the Pioneers came back, taking the third and fourth set, ending the match with a 3-1 victory. The Pios then traveled up to Dartmouth University this past weekend for the Dartmouth Invitational. The Pioneers came out of the gates hot, winning their first match 3-0, beating Iona. Nellis led SHU with 12 kills and had a hitting percentage of .458, adding 5 aces as well. Other big performances came from sophomore Giovanna Schiletti, who had 9 kills and 4 blocks. Sophomore Julia Morowinski matched Nellis' hitting percentage at .458 and had 7 kills and 4 blocks. Robinson, the veteran of the group, had 35 assists, while rookie freshman Maddie Pope and junior Cassandra Liu both had 10 digs respectively. The Pioneers ended off the weekend playing Syracuse and Dartmouth, which were both great endings, but didn't go in the Pioneers' favor, losing both in 5 sets. It was so close. In fact, versus Dartmouth, they lost 16-14 in the 5th set. The Pioneers return home this weekend for the Hampton Inn by Hilton Shelton Invitational. They start play Friday as they welcome Lehigh and Brown and Hartford for the 6-match tournament.
We hope to see everyone there at the Pitt Center getting nice and loud for the women's volleyball team.
And for those that can't make it or will be out of town, Sacred Heart will be streaming the whole tournament on necfrontrow.com. In other SHU sports action, hey, the women's soccer team is taking full advantage of their new field over on Park Avenue.
That they are, Chris, but before we get into their home opener, the Pios took to the road Thursday, August 31st, traveling to Army West Point in search of their first win of the season. Pioneers started off on the back foot as the Black Knights got off to a hot start, forcing 2 early saves from Sacred Heart goalkeeper Nicole Sambuco. Army kept the pressure on throughout the first 45, but failed to put one in the back of the net, giving the Pioneers some hope. SHU then picked it up in the second half, registering 8 shots of their own, but to no avail, ending regulation at 0-0. This forced the two teams into a golden goal overtime for all the marbles. After a scoreless first half of overtime, SHU finally found their breakthrough. In the 104th minute, junior Melanie De Silva headed in a cross from sophomore Kylie Roberts to seal the Pioneers' first victory of the season. The goal was De Silva's 3rd goal of the year and 2nd career goal against Army. A week later, the Pioneers were at it again. This time they welcomed Hartford to Park Ave Field for their home opener. The action didn't truly start in this one until about the 68th minute, when the first goal of the game was knocked in by the Hawks, giving them a 1-0 lead late in the game. But the Pioneers would not back down. Hartford's lead would disappear in the 82nd minute when De Silva found herself on the delivering side of this one as she managed to squeak a ball through to teammate Miranda Gibbons, who tied the game up at 1. They didn't stop there, though, as a corner kick by Danielle Carpi found the head of Alex Mesropian, who put in the game winner in the 88th minute. She recorded their 2nd win of the season, while goalkeeper Nicole Sambuco recorded a season-high 8 saves. Yesterday, the Pioneers were home against St. Peter's Peacocks. Sean Hamilton has the details. Sean?
I'm here at Park Avenue Field, where the women's soccer team just wrapped up a game against the St. Peter's Peacocks. We pick it up 12 minutes in the first half. Taylor Cassell crosses into the box and finds Miranda Gibbons as she heads it from 8 yards out. Gibbons' 2nd of the season, 1-0 Pioneers. Then we head into the second half. Alex Mesropian crossed from right to Alyssa Highland as she chips in front of the net with a head off the bounce. 2-0 Pioneers on Highland's first of the season. Then 2 minutes later, Caitlin Buckley, corner kick in stride to Alex Mesropian, heads in her 3rd goal of the season to make it 3-0 Pioneers. They go on to win by the final score, 3-1. The Pioneers are back in action next Wednesday as they travel to Rhode Island to take on Brown. For the SHU Sports Report, I'm Sean Hamilton.
Well, Chris, you made it through your first show. We want to thank you and all the many new faces the folks at home will see on the SHU Sports Report throughout the Sacred Heart's 2017-2018 season.
Thanks for having me, Gino. I look forward to having some fun on the show while bringing all the SHU sports updates this year.
That wraps up the first installment of the SHU Sports Report. Tune in next week, same time, same place. Thanks for watching.